Good evening and welcome to the Cricket Carnival here on NewsX. I'm Sanjeev Mukherjee and our man, or rather knight in shining armour, the Mumbai Indian, original Mumbai Indians. He's pretty sad that his team, Kolkata Knight Riders, are out, but his other team, of course, the Mumbai Indians, have managed to put it across the Knight Riders and get into the final where they'll take on the Rising Pune Supergiant. Shishir, homecoming of sorts for Mumbai Indians. We did raise a lot of questions about the selection policy, etc., but in the end, they showed that they had the strategies and, of course, the firepower to make it to the fourth IPL final.
Absolutely, and you know, when you lose 5 wickets for 32 runs, you know, all the permutations, combinations, all the strategies that you decide outside the realm of a cricket field go down the drain. And this is what happened yesterday. 108, there's not much to discuss, Sanjeev. You know that when you score 108 batting first, you're giving yourself little or no chance to win a game of cricket, be it a knockout or be it a league game. And this is what happened. It was a poor display, unspirited display, if I may call it so, of the KKR or the Kolkata batting, and that is something that hurt them. And for them to recover from there was just about impossible.
Absolutely, and it's perhaps everything went down the drain as far as Knight Riders are concerned. We'll get into the more specifics. Let's take our viewers through what exactly happened in this game. In case you missed it last night, you can see Shishir is still yet to recover from the sort of anti-climax he didn't wish to watch last night. Mumbai beating Kolkata by 6 wickets in the second qualifier of the IPL season 10 to qualify for the final. Now, they were set a target of only 108. Mumbai easing past the total to win the game by 6 wickets. Despite losing early wickets, Krunal, Pandya and Rohit Sharma guiding them to victory as the side set up a cracking finale against rivals Pune. Earlier, Rohit Sharma's side wreaked havoc in Bengaluru with the ball to restrict Kolkata for a paltry 107. Jasprit Bumrah and Karn Sharma were the star performers for Mumbai as Knights failed to get any sort of momentum. 32 for 5, as Shishir was just saying. How do you recover from it? Somehow they managed to get past the lowest ever total, which also was incidentally against the Mumbai Indians. But even this time, it wasn't enough. Surya Kumar Yadav, the top scorer for Kolkata, with 31 of 25 balls. But what a performance there from Karn Sharma and the rest of the bowlers. Let's now listen in quickly to Karn Sharma, what he had to say right after the game, and then we get back into analyzing it.
But T20 is all about momentum. We started well in the first 6 overs, so that's why we are in the game and we won the game. No, it's good for me. I'm just working hard when I'm not playing. So the main motive is to, when I get a game, I just need to perform for the team and team wins. That's more important for me. Yeah, we are fully prepared and we will win the finals. That's for sure.
We just heard from Karn Sharma. Shishir, Karan mentioned about the fact about the momentum, but he's right, and the fact that the game was lost even before it had actually started for the Knight Riders. And what do you do? The other day we were talking about a leg spinner and a fast bowler combination for a different team. This time we see Karn Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah, again a leg spinner fast bowler combination, and they actually got their best figures in the IPL on the same day. How do you answer that?
Well, it just tells you why we were discussing Harbhajan Singh being in the team. And the question of Harbhajan didn't seem to arise, and often happens when you dismiss a team for 107 or, just a paltry score as Kolkata did. But the fact is, the pitch is something, if it's a slowish pitch, somebody like Bumrah is always going to be a very important bowler in the side because he mixes it up well. He has a good slower one. He can bowl the quicker one. He's got an odd action, that you can't pitch.
And he hasn't bowled with the new ball this season.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That was also a strategy.
Yeah, the strategy was to slow it down, and this is something that Kolkata should have assessed the moment they got onto that pitch and said. He said 140 plus 150 may have been a fighting total, where you can sort of put pressure on the opposition very early on, but it didn't happen. And how can it happen when you lost 5 wickets for 32 runs? Even if you recover, you can maximum get to 115, 120. But they didn't seem to. When you lost 5 wickets for 32 runs, even if you recover, you can maximum get to 115, 120. But they didn't seem to recover. Whenever there was a recovery in place, Lasith Malinga came and got a wicket, and Surya Yadav got out. So, getting a recovery or getting 2 batsmen to recover from that blow,
right?
You can't have 30 runs on against a batsman's name. You need two players to get
Right.
to 50, 60.
Right, and the other thing, one would want to pick your brains on this. You come from the Mumbai batting school. Now, how do you counter a bowler like a Bumrah, who bowls at a fairly decent clip? And secondly, he's got the awkward action, which obviously, perhaps gets into a lot of batsmen's head when they're facing him. And secondly, he's got this, what one would say, terrific amount of movement into the right-hander. So how do they negotiate it?
Well, if
Forget Dhoni, but
Well, if you ask me, the Bombay school or the Mumbai school, it's about respecting conditions. It's about respecting the bowler.
Now, how do you counter this sort of?
Well, you've got to wait for the loose one, and you've got to wait for him to air. The thing is, you can't say that I'm going to take him on, because if he's in rhythm, he'll eat you up. So it's important for the batsman to respect conditions and respect the bowler, because the bowler has also worked hard to get where he is. And I think that is what Kolkata didn't do. They didn't respect conditions, they didn't respect the bowler. Because if they'd assessed this wicket and said, okay, if we get to 140, maybe they would have approached it differently. They didn't. They thought 6 overs, power play, go for it. No, you could be anybody as a player. You need to realize, assess, and then change your game accordingly. Adaptability is the name of the game. It's not about playing on, feather beds, on good batting wickets and pitches and say that you're going to bully bowlers. No, you can't do it all the time. And this is where I think they missed a trick.
And final word quickly before we move on about the Mumbai batting. Yet again, it looked shaky at the top, and exactly what we discussed, Lendl Simmons and Parthiv having those problems somehow. But Krunal Pandya looked very mature, and he said, somebody in the dugout must have told him, listen, fella, you need to win this game for us. It's not too much of a target, you just need to apply yourself.
And he's an India player. He ought to do that. The thing is, they bat so deep and they bat so confident that they're able to recover from those early losses. It's only when sometimes you find that some of the players are under pressure, and pressure comes from all around. It comes from outside the cricket ground, that they can succumb. But yesterday, I think they were possessed as a team. They realized when they got Kolkata out for 107 that they were in the game. They couldn't have lost it, because if they had lost this one, it would have been most embarrassing. You can't do such a good job and then let the game go. So they bat deep, and Pandya is a good player. I mean, we have to accept that. He's somebody who delivers for the team. Rohit's contribution may not be big, but it steadied the ship. And
finally game good.
They want that. They want somebody to steady the ship.
Yeah. All right. So we'll have lots more to discuss tomorrow when we look ahead to the preview. It should be a cracker of a game. Will it be 4-0 for the Pune Supergiants, or will Mumbai be able to make it 3-1? And even if they do make it 3-1, 3-1 sounds in favor of Pune, but they'll be able to win another IPL title. So that is what's going to count, but that's going to come tomorrow. Let's now look at perhaps the top picks, as Shishir was telling us for a fair bit of time, that let's do a show looking at the positives which have come out of this particular IPL. So I'm going to give it over to Shishir now. Shishir, of course, I know you have perhaps selected a few individual players you want to talk about, but any particular team which has caught your attention, or you think that team was perhaps the story of this tournament?
I think it has got to be Pune for two reasons. They picked some unknown players. They've also been the underdog throughout the tournament, and to get to where they have, and to win 3-0 against a strong
Mumbai Indians,
packed team, with stars in them, right, and a consistent team. To have beaten them 3-0 is a success story. I'm not worried whether they win the final. No, they can go back saying, maybe for the last time, saying that they've given a great account of themselves. And for me, that has been the success story. Other teams have been disappointing, but if you look at the way Pune has sort of climbed up the ladder, managed their resources, used their youngsters, their uncapped players, it's been a success story for me. For me, the IPL success is about unknown players making a mark, and Pune has actually got the best out of their unknown players.
They've got the best out of the unknown players, but as you say, that it will be a remarkable story in every sense, even in the non-cricketing sense, because they cease to exist as a team, according to the rules. And in case they win, even if they don't win, they're runners-up, but if they win, they'll be the new Aizawl FC of the IPL, and it'll be such a travesty of justice.
Absolutely, but this is something they knew when they went into it. You know, while one feels for them, I think the owners, the players knew that this was a 2-year association. It was a marriage of 2 years. There was going to be a divorce after that. And if I were to sort of evaluate it from a non-cricketing sense, but the fact is that most of the players who've given a good
That'll be a
account.
very unhappy owner if he manages to win the IPL title, having spent quite a fair bit of money over the last 2 years through the auctions, picking up the players, building a team, everything, then winning a trophy and then saying goodbye, like the team goes kaput.
Yeah, absolutely, but that's something like, as I said, you know, he would have been, the owners would have,
Yeah, of course they
management was aware of. But the players who've done well in this tournament, for them, will obviously demand and command a prize in the next hammer. And that is something that we'll talk about the success of Pune. Because when you see the Tripatis of the world getting, you know, a lot of money now in the auction or being picked up before the auction, you will know that there has been the success side of the of Pune as a team.
Right.
Yes, it's sad that the owners may not have an option to bid again.
Right.
We don't know where we're going. But I guess if they win this championship, they'll have to rethink. At least the BCCI will have to rethink.
Right. You know, I guess I have a very fair feeling about it, Shishir, that our producer, Aishwarya, is actually listening to your words, prosaic words, and he's possibly gone off to sleep. So he's not even yet telling me how much more time I have left in the segment. So I just hope he's listening to me and he's telling, he'll come back and tell me quietly in my ears how much time we have in this segment. But while I wait for him to do that, who are your top picks? Who are your top picks?
See, if I shut my eyes and look back at this IPL, you know, there is Tripathi, there is Thampi, there is who are the other bowlers. The bowlers have impressed me. Karn Sharma. These are players who've caught the eye. Of course, there'll be a lot of other players, but these three come straight to mind. Other players have contributed.
Washington
well.
Sundar?
Washington Sundar.
Basil Thampi?
I said Thampi,
Yeah.
yes. But, you know, these are the players who come to mind because they made an impact. Impact for the team, impact for the results, and a level of consistency that you want to stand up and look at them and their progress in domestic cricket. And this is something that, you know, the IPL from time to time has provided. A lot of players have sort of withered away.
Right.
And we've seen that in the past. They've come, you know, with a big bang and they've withered away. I just hope they work hard enough and make sure that, you know, they can use this opportunity to go from strength to strength and obviously cement a place in the first class side, perform consistently, and then obviously knock at the doors of the national team.
And what about the Afghan players? I want you to reiterate on them.
Well,
They have, of
I
course,
think-
been the individual story of this tournament.
I
Shishir.
think it's a tick in the box for the team management of Sunrisers. We know that Afghan players don't get the
a
spotlight.
blue tick, as they say in social
Blue tick,
media.
yeah,
times.
but they don't get the spotlight when they're playing for their country because they're not in the scheme of the big teams and the big five and the big three, as we call them. But the fact is that in an auction, when somebody bids for them so aggressively, it just tells you that there's a level of confidence, a level of vigilance that has happened behind that. And when success stories come out of that picking, then you tend to sort of say, okay, he's done, he's fantastic. But what about the players in the back room or the team management that has gone and convinced the management
Correct.
that let's pay an extra price for this player because it's also about convincing the management. IPL is not only about how you do well on the field. It's about how you can have the convincing power to the people who really shell out the money to say, I want to back him because he's good. And I believe he's good because he'll deliver. And this is something that, you know, hats off to Tom Moody, VVS and whoever has been responsible for selection of the Afghanistan players. Because for me, Rashid Khan has been the success story of this IPL.
Absolutely. And, you know, as we head into a break, it's important for all of us to perhaps remember that, you know, even look at Nitish Rana, as Gautam Gambhir says, there's so much of trouble inside the Delhi Cricket Association as far as selection is concerned. We don't know who's right, whether KP Bhaskar, the coach, is right or Gautam Gambhir is right. But, you know, we've seen and read about Nitish Rana saying that he was really unsure of his place in the Delhi team and he knew that every match could be my last match. However, when it goes to the Mumbai Indians, it's a completely different ball game. And there he was.
But that hasn't changed, Sanjeev. He's still
star.
not sure of his place in the Mumbai Indians.
Perhaps he might, you know, travel eastwards, you never know, or southwards. Change his
Time will
team.
tell, time will
Only
tell.
time will tell, but perhaps after the IPL. Well, the time now changes
Time will
things.
tell, time will
Only
tell.
time will tell, but perhaps after the IPL. Well, the time now says that it's time now to take a break, Shishir. So we take a break. When we come back, we look at a few more, not really positives, people who have not really lived up to their star billing or what we expected from them. The disappointments, I would say, of this IPL season 3. Stay right here. This is Cricket Carnival on NewsX. Here with the Cricket Carnival here on NewsX. I'm Sanjeev, and of course with me Shishir. Shishir, we've spoken about the positives. Now a little bit about the creases on the forehead of many owner in the IPL. Beg your pardon. There are a lot of people who have not really justified their wage packet. You look at maybe a JP Duminy, Quinton de Kock missing from Delhi. You know, that literally, I would say in a certain way, took apart whatever plans the team management had in this particular adventure or rather misadventure called the IPL for them. It's always been like that.
It crippled DD. It crippled a team like Delhi Daredevils because these are two players who were non-negotiables in the 11. And you know, when you have two non-negotiables out of 4 going out of the equation, what it does is upsets your whole team plan. What they had to do then is focus on the domestic batsmen to deliver for them, and that's something that didn't happen consistently. Though they, you know, they threatened to upset a few teams.
Yeah.
They could have probably done much better. And
They finished very poorly towards the end.
yes, and this is because that the game plan changed at the end hour, and that is something that troubles teams, because when you visualize a team with your key players, these two players were obviously very key.
Did you get a feeling during the campaign that Rahul Dravid, otherwise he's generally a very, very sorted person, whether be at the batting crease or even as a coach for India in under 19. But it seemed that Rahul was always trying to play catch up because there was some problem or the other, some difficulty or other, be it a Zaheer Khan injury, be it somebody else, be it somebody out of form, somebody unavailable. He always had to tinker with his plans.
He had to, and you know what happens is when you decide on a certain player to lead the side in the absence of 2 of your key players, then you expect that, you know, he will play through the season. Zahid didn't, you know, do the distance because of his injury. You had to bring in a Karan Nair who wasn't in peak form to be leading the side. His form picked up after he took on the mantle of captaincy. So, you know, plans change, and plans change so fast in T20 that recovery after a couple of losses becomes all the more difficult. So, yes, it'll be disappointing that DD hasn't been in the mix over the last so many years, except for one semi-final. But the fact of the matter is that injury plays a huge role in teams, you know, sort of being dented, crippled, if I may say so, and Delhi were definitely crippled.
Delhi definitely crippled, and unfortunate that in 10 seasons they are not the only team. There is also Kings 11 Punjab like that, but in 10 seasons they failed to make a mark even once.
Yeah, that is sad.
You
And,
never
know,
get to the final. You never
yeah,
get
that
to
is
the
sad
playoffs.
because that will make the management think, you know, 10 seasons is a long time. It's 10 years. And in the 10 years, if you haven't made a mark, you know, obviously somewhere something is wrong. Either it's wrong pickings, it's not having the right balance, it's wrong selection, or just poor performance. But it can't be poor performance because they've had some great players in the past 10 years, you know.
Great players, great associations.
Yeah.
Gary Kirsten, Viv Richards, Virendra Sehwag, who not was there?
A.B. de Villiers.
A.B. de Villiers.
I mean, David Warner. I mean, the success stories of the IPL actually were born in Delhi Devils. So, you know, they have to take some of the blame over the last 10 years. They can't say
Success
that.
always seems to fly away from the Delhi Devils.
Well, it's born there and they fly away. You know, so they land in
They're
Delhi.
owned by JMR. So perhaps
Absolutely. So they land in
was
Delhi
just joking.
and take off. They take
Yeah.
off elsewhere, and you know that's something that obviously they will have to give it a thought.
And who will give it a thought? And I don't know what they're going to do next season. But moving on, the other big flop I would consider big flop, certainly a cricketing flop, was Team Bangalore. I don't really remember having seen any tweets from Mr. Vijay Mallya, because generally he's very, very effusive even when he's in London away from the Indian authorities. And while all the banks in India are looking for him, but he generally tweets about his team's games and etc. But RCB was completely nowhere.
Yeah, this is like, you know, Amitabh Bachchan starrer, a multi-starrer film that just doesn't
Bombed
take
at
off.
the box office.
Yeah, absolutely, and bombed very badly. Primarily because their two key players overseas, Gale and AB, didn't fire as expected. I mean, they're capable of
No, by their standard, it was a very, very poor
absolutely.
IPL for both of them.
And when you have two key players, and obviously your bowling is going to be depleted because you're focusing on the batting to get you those extra 20, 30 runs because of the power of the batting. That didn't happen. And it's difficult for people like Gale, who are not playing international cricket, to go and play in a tournament as the IPL and be consistent. And we've seen that with most players who are not playing international cricket. Watson itself is a shadow of himself. Great player again, but sadly...
Yeah, and what didn't help was possibly Virat Kohli's, he was not really in the greatest of nick, but you can't blame him. An injury too, and you can't blame him because more or less, more often than not, he's bailed his team out, be it RCB or Team India. But the one time he's not in the best of form, his team just doesn't rise to the occasion and back his skipper.
But Sanjeev, cricket's a team game. If your key player isn't performing or isn't giving what you expect of him, others need to pull him. And this is where I think
Can I ask you a question which might surprise a lot of critics maybe, but there has been a certain amount of talk about AB de Villiers and the fact that the moment he walked away from certain forms of Test cricket, perhaps it's not there, he wanted to concentrate on the shorter form, but is it perhaps taking a toll in playing in so many of these leagues that, this time, I'm sorry, but de Villiers was not the same de Villiers of old?
Yes, but I won't put it beyond him. He also came out of injury. He was trying to get a rehab done, and he missed a couple of games. It's all about rhythm. I keep hearing the word momentum. I think momentum also is dependent on the form of a player. Everything boils down to his rhythm as a player. I think momentum also is dependent on the form of a player. Everything boils down to his rhythm as a player, whether it's a batsman or a bowler. Sadly, when you have AB de Villiers and Chris Gale who are capable of, if they've given you 4 out of 10, they're definitely capable of 7 and 8 and 9.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, and when that doesn't happen, then when you have a bowling attack as generous as their bowling attack, RCB had to succumb to being at the bottom of the table.
Right, and quickly as we wrap up here, the other disappointment, I wouldn't say it's about any team or a player, but the fact that, when rain comes, rain falls chama cham cham, as they say, rain is falling chama cham cham during the eliminator. How can you bring in Duckworth Lewis, and what could be the remedy for this issue? Because Duckworth Lewis doesn't work in T20. You might as well do it by a coin toss.
No, I would have thought that they should have just replayed a 5-over game, because this is not a clear description, an indication or judgment of the better team.
Correct.
And for me that is the issue.
Yeah.
If you have one team, I think Mumbai yesterday, the primary reason for fielding first was the fear of rain.
Fear of rain.
Because you don't go into a game thinking we'll get a team out for 107, 108 runs. You're thinking, if it rains, I should have that advantage. Which is once the toss happens, you're playing on a level playing field. One team shouldn't have an advantage in terms of what
Sunrisers must have been feeling appalled yesterday when they watched Kolkata crumble, saying that, God, if the rain hadn't come, maybe we had a fighting chance.
No, and we would have probably given a better account of ourselves. So when you look back, you say 120 which they scored would have probably provided a better opportunity for them to sneak into the finals.
Right.
But having said that, this is the way the rules are. Unless they change, nothing will happen.
Unless they change, nothing happens. We hope the Committee of Administrators is also going to look into this, because they are pretty worried about the fact that the T20 game was actually destroyed by using the Duckworth-Lewis system. Very quickly, final 5 seconds before we say goodbye for tonight, Chirshid. The one moment in the IPL season 10 so far which warmed the cockles of your heart. Come on, quickly, 5 seconds I give you.
The one moment that warmed the cockles of my
You've taken
heart.
5 already. 5 quickly.
Can't think of any, but obviously the Rashid Khan's induction into the IPL. And we get glimpses of Imran Tahir running across the ground. But for me, Rashid Khan, success story of the IPL.
Success story of the IPL. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very, very much. Once again, Shishir, it's always a pleasure discussing with you, analyzing with you, trying to pick your brain, and also having a couple of one-on-one fights also. It's good to argue. We agree to disagree most of the times. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, right here with the Cricket Carnival, when we look forward to that. What we are thinking could be the epic clash that will actually light up IPL Season 10. The Mumbai Indians, Mumbai Indians versus the Rising Pune Supergiants. I don't know why, I'm not picking any favorites, but my mind says it's going to be the Mahi win. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.